This, one of my favourite films is A Matter of Life and Death. In fact, I think it is my favourite film. And it was photographed by the great Jack Cardiff, whose photography I just adore in every single one of his movies. Great collaboration with Paul and Pressburger. I just love Jack's work and everything he turned his hand to and his eye to, because he was an artist, a true cinema artist. And his use of colour is just exquisite. And he had a real painter's eye. And I knew him. I had the privilege of meeting him, and he used to come and stay in Edinburgh. Came to the Edinburgh Film Festival a few times. And he was just a great, great man, and somebody I take daily inspiration from as a cinematographer. A Matter of Life and Death is full of imagery that kind of sears my eyes. It's very playful, as many of Paul Pressburger's films are. Its use of colour is, I've never seen anything like it really, particularly the use of red. Jack was such a master with Technicolor. I think he upset the Technicolor bods, Natalie Kalmus and co, because his work was so experimental with Technicolor. He certainly didn't overlight anything, and he was a master of chiaroscuro in Technicolor, where something that early Technicolor really demanded was a lighting style that was much flatter and brighter to show how colourful it was. But here in this film you see Jack's use of light and shade in the most extraordinary way. The defining thing photographically about this film is its juxtaposition of black and white and colour. Famously, black and white to describe the celestial realm in heaven, and colour for this vivid depiction of life on earth.
What do you think the next world's like? I got my own ideas.
Peter.
I think it starts where this one leaves off. Or well, this one could leave off if we'd listened to Plato and Aristotle and Jesus.
It was seen as devised sort of as almost a propaganda allegory to encourage collaboration between America and Britain during the war. But it is much, much more than that. And it's a story about love and loyalty and about the very essence of life. I had the privilege of showing a 35mm print of the film, in fact from Martin Scorsese's own collection, and it was a dye transfer print of the film, and I showed it to a group of students at Panavision in Los Angeles some years ago, and I never forget like opening up these metal cases and like smelling the celluloid, the print. It was great, but I'd never seen a dye transfer print before, and when it was projected, it's imagery that I'll just never ever forget. Because actually when I was growing up I knew of this film, but I saw it on a black and white telly, so I didn't even know that there were colour sequences in the film. It was just like a really good black and white movie that I saw on a Sunday afternoon. It's just full of lovely photographic flights of fancy that are so beautiful to watch. I mean, the production design by Alfred Junge, who was the regular Paul and Pressburger designer, is second to none. It's really stunning, and the way that he obviously collaborated with Jack and Michael Paul, I think it's one of the great teams in cinema. I suppose most of the film takes place on Earth, so I suppose that's why they went that route, the colour route. They wanted to make a colour movie. But it also shows you know, the graphic nature of heaven. It produced a more stylized perspective, the looking up towards those little apertures, those holes that they could look down into the earth below. I think it's incredible, and the technical feat of the staircase, which was, I think they got designers in from London Underground to build this huge staircase, but at the time that was folie de grandeur to build that. I think it cost a fortune. Throughout the film, you get examples of almost like colour used like a stained glass window. I mean, obviously that's the effect of the Technicolor process at the time, but there's nothing like the painterliness of it is extraordinary to witness. This is the scene where Robespierre appears to David Niven's character. They're in this sort of frozen dream. There are these kind of frozen moments when the celestial people appear on Earth, so everything's frozen, and you've got this vivid garden full of deeply coloured fauna, and Robespierre appears, and this is when he announces that we are starved of Technicolor up there. You can see how influential Jack's photography is here to many contemporary photographers, and even in fashion. You know, you can see the influence from Madame Yvonne to contemporary like fashion photographers in the deep saturation and in the stylization of the colour. I really, really love it.